Peace, peace, peace. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, it's your boy Vic Slain Hope, and I got another video for y'all. And we're going to be covering another law in the 48 laws of power. And this one is law number 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. And this is a law that I struggle with myself. So we definitely going to deep dive into this. But before I read the judgment, you already know what to do. If you like my content, give it a thumbs up. It ain't that hard, right? You know, you share it with somebody who you think it might benefit, and you subscribe to the channel so you can stay hip to my content, right? Now, I'm going to read the judgment. The judgment says, if you make a show of going against the times, flaunting your unconventional ideas and unorthodox ways, people will think that you only want attention and that you look down upon them. They will find a way to punish you for making them feel inferior. It is far safer to blend in and nurture the common touch. Share your originality only with tolerant friends and those who are sure to appreciate your uniqueness. And this law is very, 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 very important, and I cannot stress that enough, especially in the times we are living in. We are living in times where people will literally crucify you, not like verbatim, right? But people will crucify you if you have an idea or different philosophies that go against what everybody is on agreement in society today, right? And before I even get into some of those things, I'm gonna give you one of the examples that they use from the book, and then I'm gonna give you some, real life, everyday examples that we see in life, social media, and in our everyday lives, etc. and so forth, right? So in the book, they use an example of a man in Spain who started to criticize the Catholic Church at a time where, if y'all know anything about history, at a time where, the Catholic Church was at its height, right? And religious dogma, like you could not say anything bad about the church, or you would literally get killed, or you would get imprisoned. You couldn't talk about the Pope. You couldn't say a lot of things, right? So he started talking about how the Catholic Church was basically like heaven and hell wasn't real, how they was using fear to kind of like get the people to do what they wanted them to do. So this is kind of like his rhetoric, right? And, he went to jail. They torture him at some point, because that's just what they're going to do when you have these different ideals. And so what happened was he changed his ways. He learned from his lesson from being tortured. And what he did was the way he went about getting his ideas out to the people, he wrote a book. Because he was the author, he wrote all the previous books. So what he did was he wrote a book about arguments. So in the book, he made it seem like it was vague arguments, but in reality, it was his own arguments against the Catholic Church. But he wrote it like in a third person kind of way. So he wrote it like, oh, this is a person that don't believe in the church and a person that believes in the church having arguments. And this way he got his idea out to the people, and he was safe from getting harmed because they didn't look at it like it was coming from him. He tried to act like he was just covering the arguments, if that makes sense. So with that being said, the man strategized on how to get his ideals across without being harmed for it, and without people thinking like, oh, this is coming from you. You get what I'm saying? So people got to read the book. They got to just, inquire about the different arguments and stuff like that. And in a way, he gets to kind of like influence people to his side of the argument. Now, that was one of the things that he said. And so it says he would not renounce his beliefs, yet he knew he had to disguise their outer appearance. That's what he did. Now, let's get to what we see every single day. We see this every single day, right? Like, we have discussions about gender. We have discussions about sexuality and the LGBTQ, right? We have all of these discussions, right? And the moment, y'all see it for yourselves, the moment you disagree or you go against the grain, and this is something that, like, I have to learn, right? Like, I have to learn thinking as I like, but behaving like others. And I can't do that. I have a hard time, like, going with the bullshit, if you get what I'm saying. Like, I have a very, very hard time, like, playing along when I don't really agree with this. But this ends up hurting us in the long run. There's a lot of us who have this mentality, like, I'm going to speak my mind. I'm going to say what I feel. Like, I ain't got no hair on my tongue. Or ain't nothing. We have that, and it sounds good. But in the long run, these things could prevent us from getting to the money, right? These things could prevent us from getting into certain rooms, having certain conversations, certain networks. These things could cut a lot of opportunity for us just because we feel like we have to speak about whatever we feel or whatever we thinking. And this is something I had to learn the hard way, right? Like I done shot myself in the foot so many times because I'm of the idea of it is what it is. Like I'm gonna speak my mind, I'm gonna say how I feel. And but in reality is when you're trying to achieve power, when you're trying to get to a certain place, don't talk about certain things. For example, people always got this thing where they say don't talk about religion, politics, and I think sexuality. I don't know. It's religion, politics, or something else, right? They tell you that because that's what happens, right? That's what happens. The moment you start talking about politics, you have people out here who will stop messing with you if they found out you voted for Trump, right? Just politics. If they found out that you think Trump is a nice guy and he was doing good things for people, you got some people who will look at you like you're crazy. They will crucify you. You got people out here, if you say you don't support homosexuality, you got people who will crucify you. You got people out here who, if you come out and say, I believe in gender roles, right, they will crucify you. Like I'm telling you right now, if you say a woman is supposed to be submissive or you talking any type of that type of rhetoric, they will crucify you. You got people out here who, if you say, I believe a woman should have 5 bodies or less, they will crucify you. And I could go on and on about so many different examples that society is kind of shifting, right? Like you go out here and call somebody fat, people with this whole body positivity stuff, they will crucify you. They will say you body shaming and doing all of these things. You know, so there's a lot of stuff that we have to pay attention to, right? Because like I said, when the society is moving in a certain way and the certain powers that be are pushing certain things around, they're pushing certain ideologies in college. Like I seen this myself. I was that person in the classroom, right? And sometimes even students in the classroom are afraid to even talk about their real ideals because they don't want to fail. Or they fear that they might fail. And like the thing says, it says they will find a way to punish you for making them feel inferior. And it's not even that you're making them feel inferior. Sometimes you just don't agree. Sometimes you just don't agree, right? And so I've seen this so many times, and like I said, I struggle to do this because I come from the standpoint that like I don't like to play the game because eventually the brain gonna give you up. Like if I'm having a conversation and I'm annoyed, or if in my mind I'm like, oh, you dumb, like you don't even know what you're talking about, like it's gonna show in my body language, right? So I can't really hide how I'm thinking. Most people, nobody can really hide how they thinking. Everybody always give you social cues, whether they agree with what you're saying or they disagree. They might be giving you a head nod. They start rolling their eyes when you speak. They start doing certain things. They giving you social cues, whether they agree with your ideas or they don't. And people do this. This is a very, very important law, right? That's why it says share your originality only with tolerant friends and those who are sure to appreciate your uniqueness. You're going to have a very small percentage of people in society who are going to appreciate that you have different ideas, who are going to appreciate that you think outside the box, who are going to appreciate your originality. Only a small percentage of people. And then you're also going to, even if y'all disagree, you're going to have people who are still going to appreciate what you're sharing with them. And then you're going to have a small percentage of people who agree with you. You're going to have a small percentage of people who agree with what you're saying, So this law is very, very, very important because we seeing it play out right before our eyes. Like you can't, like now it's a little more tolerant to talk trash about religion, right? But nowadays, if you come with a religious like background or mentality, people might jump on you. Like, so it's funny how times is changing and how if you have these conventional views, if you have these traditional views, if a woman comes out nowadays and says, I believe in preserving myself or getting married, or I don't want to have that many bodies, or I'm a virgin, like people will be looking at them like they crazy. Oh, you think you better? Kind of like what they were saying. It's like almost like you trying to make those people feel inferior. and they will come at you, and you're not even doing that. You're just telling them what you believe in. But because the times have changed and women are sexually liberated, or they're having like these other ideals that are going on in in our country today or in the world, they're going to look at you a certain way. And people always try to make it seem like people trying to act like they better than them. And the last thing I will read you is about the black sheep. It says the herd shuns the black sheep, uncertain whether or not it belongs with them. So it straggles behind. So it straggles, my bad. So it straggles behind or wanders away from the herd, where it is cornered by wolves and promptly devoured. Stay with the herd. There is safety in numbers. Keep your differences in your thoughts and not on your sleeve. Keep your differences in your thoughts and not on your sleeve. So there you have it. It's strength in numbers, you know, and sometimes you just got to blend in with the people till you get to where you're trying to go. And the reversal of the law is basically saying, the only time it's worth standing out is if you already stand out. If you already stand out like a sore thumb, it won't make no sense to try to hide in the crowd because you already stand out. Or if you already have achieved a position of authority or power. And I'm not saying when they say only if you stand out, it's meaning like you already have achieved power, like you like the king, you're like the president, you're like somebody that doesn't really matter, right? If you share your own opinion with them, like Donald Trump, he became the president, he shared his own opinions. He didn't care that the whole country was against his opinions. He already achieved a high position of power, so it was easy for him to not care about what other people thought. But let me know what your thoughts are. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and let me know. Peace.